Hello, welcome back to the OPL Week 4, day number 1, brought to you by Hungry Jacks. I'm still Spawn. This is Ejim. We just saw Avant Gaming take the 2-1 over Tectonic. However, I do not think that was a result anyone at home expected.
Yeah, absolutely not. I predicted a 2-0. The guys on the couch over there, they actually predicted the 2-1. So they knew something that I didn't. But yeah, very unexpected, I think, for a lot of people.
Completely unbiased host and play-by-play caster here. I did
you
not make
didn't have a prediction?
Predictions? No, not at all.
Okay, all right.
But we are heading into one of the biggest matches of the OPL calendar year. It is going to be the Chiefs Esports Club taking on Legacy Esports. Of course, they fly as one. And I want to talk about this, Ejim, because even though it is the old rivalry, it is new faces. You have played in every Legacy versus Chiefs match previous to this, as had Carbon, Swiffer, Spooks. Completely new lineups now. Swiper, Big Armor Titan, the only one that can get carried over.
The man in the middle of your screen on the side of the Chiefs, yeah, the longest standing rivalry in Oceanic League of Legends history, I believe. Yep. And yeah, big matchup. You mentioned new faces, but as we say, Swipe is still on the Chiefs. Still wants to pick up this this bit of a grudge match there. And on the side of Legacy, obviously, Sybil replacing Carbon. Does he hate the Chiefs? Does he hate them as a brand? Does he hate them as a colour? And does he hate them as an organisation? We'll find out.
Of course, that is Bryce's Carbon impression.
Absolutely.
Right, I preferred the sneaky snakes that came out.
That was about me, so I don't prefer that one. Don't call me a sneaky snake.
I didn't call you a sneaky snake. Tally did that. Yeah. I wonder if Mimic understands what is going on, though. Because obviously Mimic wouldn't have watched, like everyone else on these lineups, you have to think had watched the OPL before coming in. Mimic, obviously from Korea, probably watched the LCK. Yep. More likely to have. I wonder if he's like, why is this a big deal? It's week 4. Like, why are you telling me I have to win this game, Carbon?
Yeah, it's like it's so important. Like, don't win the finals, beat the Chiefs. No, I think he's a player that's, despite coming in and obviously, like, does speak English, but not to like the perfect extent, right? But he's up with all the memes. So I guarantee you, like he knows everything about this matchup against the Chiefs, and he's up to date.
Yeah, and 2 members, young members actually, that will be playing in. I mean, Claire's played a couple now, but Ryoma on the other side of the rift playing the first game for the Chiefs in what is one of the biggest matches for them. Ryoma at the start of this year, I would have been like, he is out and out. The better mid laner. Claire had a rough 2017. However, Claire has come out swinging. And I think the kill participation there shows just how important he is to his team.
I mean, yes, absolutely. But 75% compared to 80% is still pretty damn good on the side of Ryoma. 3/4 to just a little bit more forfeits there. But I think the stats are comparable. What's your problem, Jake? What's your problem?
I just keep going.
But I think the stats are comparable. They have exactly the same CS per minute. Obviously, KDA a bit worse for Ryoma, but he's played an extra game there, so he's got a bigger sample size. But no, I think the mid laners are very good. I think they're 2 up-and-coming players. Claire last season, not good. He wasn't in a good position. I don't think he was set up to play the style of League of Legends that Claire wants to play when he had lost on his team. And so I think this is kind of the rebirth of Claire coming in and see if he can stand up to a long-time good performing mid laner of the player in Ryoma.
Yeah, but at the same time, I mean, when you have a look at this, you have to say that a lot of Ryoma's success, at least last week, came off the back end of Destiny. Yep. I mean, he farmed fine in the mid lane. He's had some good laning phases himself, but definitely team fight off the back end of that Rakan a little bit better. Yep. Whereas Claire was like the sole shining star of an otherwise, like, I'm not talking about like a Dark Knight. I'm talking like the inside of a black hole. Dark. Like, there was a lack of light apart from Claire in the whole of the Legacy existence yet.
But here's where I disagree with that logic, right? Okay. Claire, obviously, his team was underperforming, weren't playing well, and he was the only player that was keeping them in the games versus AV. Obviously, they fell down 0-2, but just because Ryoma's team isn't playing as badly as Claire's team doesn't make him a worse player. Sure, all he did in one of those games was shield Destiny and then ulti off the Rakan, but I mean, if your support's popping off, then like, and all you have to do is press R. I mean, he pressed R really well. Like, good on him, right? Like, I feel like it's a bit of a disservice to
They've got to press R mid laner. They've got to press W jungle. And the Chiefs are absolutely popping off, according to Bryce Ejim Paul. Before we throw it over to Laura, however, we don't have a 1v1. However, YouTube has it. So check out the Oceanic League of Legends YouTube page for, of course, Raid versus Rogue. It's a sneaky Lee sin-off. I won't give anything else away. Before we get into this game, let's check in with Laura and choose.
Thank you, Jake, and thanks for throwing to that YouTube throwout. Congratulations on your prediction, Choo-Choos. You guessed the Avant Tectonic. It was by accident, but they don't know at home. But now we have Legacy going up against the Chiefs, the old school OPL rivalry. You used to play for Legacy.
Indeed, I did.
I predict that this series is going to be pretty close, but I want to grab your thoughts on it.
Well, I mean, Legacy come off a 2-0 against AV, or they lost 0-2 last week against AV. So I definitely think that they're not going to be too happy about that. And I think they're going to be probably preparing. I know Lucio Soul Strikes is probably very furious that happened last week. So I think we should expect a much stronger Legacy. But also on the other side, Chiefs have always put up a great fight, even in their week 1 game against Direwolves. Have always shown great promise, but I will say that my featured matchup is definitely in the mid lane because Ryoma, who is like the star player of Sin, now on Chiefs, against Claire, who has been showing great play, really, especially he was the only player last week that was standing out. I definitely think that this battle does come down to the mid lane.
With all of that in mind, who are you going to give this series
I will give it to Legacy 2-1 because I'm a Legacy fan, but I also think they're going to bounce back this week.
I'm not confident in my prediction, but I'm going to give 2-1 to the Chiefs. But remember, if you at home would like to make your own predictions, head on over to opltips.com.au. We've got $25, $50 and $100 Hungry Jacks vouchers up for grabs, as well as RP prizes and XP boost. For more information on those prizes, make sure you do head on over to our website. Thank you once again for your prediction, Choo-Choos. But to get this second series underway, let's hand it back to Jake and Bryce.
Thanks so much. So we have Ejim, obviously ex-member of the Chiefs Esports Club,
also defending Legacy,
the Chiefs. Then I have Choo-Choos over on the couch, ex-Legacy mid laner, defending Legacy. Just would really love some
Who's your favourite team, Jake?
I don't have a favourite team.
You don't have a favourite team?
Don't have a favourite
He doesn't have a favourite team.
Oh,
okay.
So I want to break this game down a little bit further because... What are you laughing at me for?
Flustered, man. That's all right.
No, I'm not flustered.
Continue.
Yeah, what I was going to say is I feel like the one area, like, for me, Mimic has shown in a couple of games, and from what his solo queue looks like, that he's probably more of a genuine threat right now than Swiper. Swiper seems to be in a bit of a slump. He's been very vocal about it himself. So let's talk about the bottom lane, because obviously Destiny Raze, as far as team fighting bottom lanes go, are incredible. Raid and Decoy, someone that we were pretty excited to check out at the start of this split, given their Korean bootcamp, not having the best start to the OPL split.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, Legacy have not been playing around them that much at all. Yep. The first 4 games of the split, I think Decoy literally played on Braum, and they were just absorbing ganks, and that was their job, so they do that okay. But as you mentioned, I don't think Raze and Destiny are a type of lane that beat you in lane. They did almost struggle against Tectonic's bot lane. Maybe struggle is the wrong word, but they weren't getting an advantage like you expect a matchup like on paper like that one to go. So it is a pretty interesting thing, but I would give the edge to Destiny and Raze overall.
But are they good enough outside of that laning phase to win this game?
I mean, if Destiny can have another performance like he did on the Rakan, then absolutely. I think he's the type of player who's honestly very versatile, whereas right now, Decoy has just shown that he's a very good defensive player and hasn't shown a lot of proactive elements, whereas Destiny on that Rakan was almost 1v5ing. Obviously, he needs his team to do damage, but he was getting every single engage in that matchup, and he was the reason the Chiefs were doing so well.
Yeah, I reckon you might be right as well. As we take a look at the Chiefs lineup and bring it up onto your screen, it is going to be their captain, Swiper, up in the top lane. Armored Titan, it will be Babip, their jungler. Ryoma is their mid laner. Raze and Destiny is their bottom lane. Of course, Fantix is their coach, and of course they'll be going up against Legacy Esports. They fly as one. It's going to be Mimic, their Korean import, in the top lane. Sybil, their jungler. Claire is their captain and mid laner. Raid and Decoy are their AD carry and support, and Lucio Soul Strikes is their coach. Want to have a look at Sybil versus Babip before we jump into Champion Select, because of all of the areas of the map, jungle for both of these teams seems to be struggling the most. Babip not having the best performance last week on the Nunu. Sybil struggling. I said that Babip was struggling worse. Like, if both of these junglers are trudging through the mud, Babip is like sinking in quicksand in my head. What are your thoughts on this matchup?
Well, I mean, the stats don't agree with you here. He's got slightly better stats than the other side on Sybil. What is Sybil doing, actually? What pose is that? Is that a... That's a Rengar? Oh, he's jumping out of stealth with a Rengar. Okay.
Yeah.
But I think you can't call it. Honestly, I'm going to sit on the fence right. You're just looking at me with utter disgust. I think out of all the junglers on the top teams in the league, I think these two are definitely struggling, and they are similar in that regard, but I think it's very hard to discern between the two.
For context, we went into a story meeting on Friday this week, and I made a call. I said, I think Babip is struggling much more. And Ejin was like, ooh, I don't know if you can say that. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go home and I'm going to watch so much footage of these junglers. I'm going to come back with an opinion. So I saved it to last, and your opinion is, I don't know.
My opinion isn't I don't know. My opinion is that I don't think there's enough between them to call. I think Sybil, like on the Sejuani and stuff, his engages are looking pretty...
iffy?
Pretty iffy, pretty hit or miss. He like had one in the mid lane where he just flung an ulti and then flashes after and it misses. But then like Barbib Chiefs put so much priority on the Nunu, and when Laura spoke to Fantix, he said that Nunu's so good right now, but Bib's been practicing a lot. But then he did almost a whole lot of nothing, died around the dragon, killed his bot lane, and then, I don't know, just suicided under the mid lane turret. So I think both of these junglers are definitely struggling, and it will be interesting to see how they face off against each other here.
All right, cool. So let's get into this game. Champion Select underway is going to be a Gangplank as well as a Camille and a Jax taken away. I'm calling it triple ban towards Mimic there. Azir, Zoe, Kalista banned away from Legacy.
Yeah, that's something we have to touch on. Mimic in his
and
first
they steal away the Gnar instantly. Mimic has just been quad banned, and there's only 3 bans available.
But I mean, when you look at them play against AV, all they banned was GP Camille, and then he didn't look that good. Game 1, Mimic on the Gnar was pretty questionable, I think. Game 2 looked a lot better, but wasn't the best, I think, especially with the man coming in with that much hype. We're going to see the 99th installment of the Gnar versus Ornn matchup.
Because Decoy would have been playing it, I assume. So I personally think that Ornn is a better support at the moment than he is top lane. I think that Mimic doesn't really suit the champion pool, but I've been wrong a lot about everything today. So it's going to be Ornn and Sejuani. Good synergy there. If they can get onto someone and start wailing them, knocking them up, CCing them
so
for days.
Much CC.
Yeah.
Not to mention double melee, so they both proc the Sejuani stun there. Braum going to come out as the usual counter to the Ornn. Destiny's going to pick that one up for himself as Chiefs have 20 seconds to round out the rest of the comp. We do also have to note that the Azir, Zoe, and Kalista are banned on the other side. Yep. So they get rid of the usual suspects for the most part. Ryoma's had a good few games on Azir so far this season, so taking that one away is fairly smart. We do have the likes of Ryze and Malzahar still open. And he's just going to take one of those for himself.
I was going to say, I don't know if Ryoma has to be in a rush here because he's got a very good Vladimir on him, and he also has a really good Orianna. 2 champions that we've seen raise their head in the mid lane. Claire goes with a Talia potentially here. Oh. It is actually a Talia locked in, so no Malzahar priority out of these teams.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe finally, at least in OS, we've seen the meta break a little bit. We're seeing some cracks appear. Well, yeah, outside of the big 4, and also Talia isn't a traditional control mate. She's more of a roam around the map and get in position. Yep. Even though Ryze has a global ulti, he's more of a just farm and then split push kind of champion. Can team fight.
Yep, and already looking at the team fight from Legacy looks really good. They have so much CC, so much setup from Ornn and Sejuani, but even the Talia being able to, even the Talia. Yep, correct. There we go. Has so much potential to just block people off. If they can pick a few members off from the side of a team fight, just make it a 5v3 or a 5v2 or something like that. There's so much potential coming out of this lineup. Bunch of jungle bans are going to come through for Legacy, I suspect.
And you see Taric banned away. I'll be interested to see if they leave a Tahm Kench up and whether they agree with me that Taric is really the only champion right now that gives Braum any difficulty. Jarvan, you would have to expect like something like a Zac, maybe a Nunu ban would come out.
Tristana, actually, getting rid of a few AD carries on the side of Raze. I mean, you're looking at their comp right now, you're not too phased by the Nunu. Obviously, they are set to pick their AD carry, but
Sorry, go.
Well, you just have no other really AD, auto-attacking champions already. Your top laner doesn't care, your jungler doesn't care, Tali is not going to care other than the slow. So, in terms of Nunu value, does fall down a little bit, I think, down the list.
Yeah, and we'll see what they want to take as their AD here. There isn't real... I mean, Jhin doesn't do well into frontline. So if they pick up a tank jungler here, Jin's not going to be all that good. So maybe they take something like a Varus on the side of Legacy.
Yep. I mean, I absolutely suspect that
what else does Raid play?
I mean, Xayah and Rakan is actually still open, and now doing this, Destiny's not going to want to just pick... I mean, they already has the Braum, so he can't, but...
you, right now, you don't want to play Xayah Rakan into Doorman, do you?
I mean, potentially. Like, you do lack the kill potential in the lane, but you still win the lane.
Okay.
I think you still have pressure. If your jungler comes, I mean, if they pick something that isn't a tank in the jungle, you can just one-tap a jungler, absolutely. And then you already have so much teamfight set up with that Ornn Sejuani. And then if you have Xayah Rakan as well, that's such a potent combo, and I think it could be good here. Chiefs lock in that Zac, so they do get a tank for Barbib.
Frustrating when Raze could have just picked his own AD carry and swapped cleanly. Now we're
With
going
Babip.
into three-way swap territory. And it's going to be Caitlin picked up, so a little bit more safety being achieved. Razor's a good Caitlin player.
Yeah, he is, and I think he's paying a bit of respect to the combo right now. Obviously has that net to get himself out of harm's way, has that range advantage, so didn't want to pick something like the Vayne, like the Twitch, something immobile and shorter range. Does opt in for that. Caitlin works very well with the Braum. You can combo that passive with the Yordle snap trap.
Yep.
Chain that CC, do a lot of damage.
And I mean, Legacy's comp actually looks like last season, apart from the fact that you would have had a Maokai instead of an Ornn.
Yep.
And they kind of fulfill the same role right now. Chiefs composition, I mean, they scale incredibly well. Don't really have the best 1 to 2 item damage, however, so we'll have to play a respectful early game outside of some lane ganks, I feel like.
Yeah, I agree, but in terms of scaling, I think it's almost negligible between the two. Obviously, I think Ryze will overall late game be doing more than Italia, but in terms of AD carry, Caitlin is good, but I actually rate Xayah super highly once you get to late game, because you don't have to rely on someone peeling you, and you can play real aggressive, and you can walk up on someone. If they try to return the fire, then you just hit your R button, you hit the Featherstorm, and then you're invulnerable, and you can lock them down with CC. So I think at 6 items, something like that, the Xayah actually becomes so strong, not to mention already comboed with Rakan. That's a big deal here for Legacy.
Certainly is. The other thing I like about Xayah is she kind of dictates the pace of team fights, because if you start losing a fight, they have to always be wary of chasing too far over your feathers. They kind of have to play an even tempo team fight, which suits Talia actually very well, being able to change the terrain and being able to get more threaded volleys out. At the same time, she's a great chasing champion, because as soon as you have R, if you flash forward, you can actually just decimate a backline. So I agree with you. Xayah, one of my favorite champions when she was first released. She's just incredibly fun to play. And see whether they're able to pick up that bottom lane. I know it's your favorite bottom lane like ever.
Yeah.
You're the biggest proponent of Xayah Rakan being a thing.
Yeah, absolutely. It's real fun to play, to be honest. I don't like playing Rakan with anything else. I think
You
even
also,
with Callisto, it's not as fun.
I remember, so when Rakan was released, ladies and gentlemen, home, Ejin was just about to jump onto the plane to Korea in between Split 1 and 2 last year for a bit of a boot camp, and was quite possibly the worst Rakan that had ever graced God-green Earth, and unfortunately, I don't have enough time to finish this story. We jump onto Summoner's Rift for Chiefs versus Legacy, and Laura is standing by with Fantix.
Thank you very much, guys. I'm standing here with Fantix. You threw a ton of bans towards Mimic in that top lane, and now he'll be playing Ornn. Have you had much practice against his Ornn, and what was the reasoning behind all of those bans?
I'm not really too worried about how well he's going to play his Ornn. It's just that he's really comfortable on carry champion, so yeah, that's what the bans were catered towards. Claire's
bringing out his Talia this game, something we haven't seen that much in this meta. Do you have any thoughts towards that pick and how Ryoma will go against him?
Yeah, Tommy will be fine against him. The Talia is just like a champion that's like you pick after like the best mid laners are gone, so yeah, it's fine.
And Babip said that this is a bit of a grudge match for him since he's going against his old organization. How has that mentality affected your preparation and expectations coming into this series?
It hasn't really affected our preparation. Like, we go into every game like the same. We don't underestimate our opponents, and we just play to our strengths. So yeah, I'd say not really much, but I guess he's just more fired up because it's Legacy.
Well, best of luck with the series, and thanks for talking to us, Fantix.
Thank you.
All right, good to hear from Richard Sue there, Fantix. Of course, MVP of last season, now coach of the Chiefs Esports Club. Interesting to hear his thoughts on mid lane, especially because he probably is the gospel of mid lane picks at the moment.
Yeah.
Going back to my story from before, because Bryce keeps frowning at me. He came back one of the better Rakan players on the server. Don't know what else he really wants me to say.
Thanks, man. There we go.
That's
the story complete. I do want to touch on, whilst we're just starting this game, that's the story you done, mate. But Bip, as Fantix mentioned there in his chat to Laura, is long-time sub of Legacy behind Carbon and now transferred over to the Chiefs. So, I mean, I can speak from experience, and as you can expect, playing against your old lineup adds a whole new level of stress into this matchup for him.
Well, especially, I think that some of the order guys were saying, or I can't remember who was saying it, but they were saying you like to prove that you made the right call.
Yeah, 100%. That's 100% it.
So Babip is just, I mean, he obviously would have had an opportunity to at least trial for the jungle position or something like that. Obviously decided to go to the Chiefs Esports Club. So he wants vindication on his decision-making process in the off-season. And for a young man, that's very important to have, knowing that, you know, you took the heart, because it is hard to leave an organization, especially when they've kind of brought you up into League of Legends. So to make that call, it's a tough call.
And
lots
it's as
of
simple
players
as that.
made it in the off-season.
You don't want to look like an idiot. 100%. You don't want to look like an idiot. If you lose this game, he's like, damn, I messed up. But we are about 3 minutes into the games right now.
So I want to talk about Mimic's build, because I think that finally we're seeing the right Ornn build. We actually see Biscuit delivery, as well as 3 pots there on the Corrupting Potion, and Minion Dematerializer. So he is always going to have priority.
Yep.
He also is going to get Biscuits, which solve the fact that he runs out of mana really easily in laning phase, and he's just going to be able to sit here. And if Swiper doesn't want to burn TP, Mimic will perpetually farm this wave. Like, he's not going anywhere. And I really like this kind of pressure style out of Ornn, because all of a sudden, if he can just win a couple of chip trades, he's going to win the sustain by an absolute country mile against Doran's shield. And he'll be able to kill him.
Yeah, and I mean, we saw that coming into fruition last game as well. In the other series, we saw the GP being poked out. Obviously, it's an R here, but the same concept does apply here. A bit more of that poke, a bit more of that sustain, as you mentioned.
Yep.
See how Mimic does fare as this game progresses. Obviously, still has that Ignite available. Just going back to craft a few items there on his anvil.
Gets himself a Mana Crystal. And that's going to be going towards one more time, either a Frozen Heart or an Iceborne Gauntlet. There's good damage out of Ryan, but
nice
it actually
raid.
combos very nicely. Claire's in some trouble, walks forward, actually returns fire quite well.
Gets the double airy proc there, luckily for him. A little, what's airy? Is that a fox?
Yeah, I think so.
I think so.
Space Cat.
Yeah, old Space Cat, I back that. Yeah, Space Cat from now on, by the way, everyone. 100%. Sybil looking for something on the top side. Swiper's very low here. He does see him on that vision, does have the ward in the tri-bush. Sybil's going to chase.
This is what I'm saying. All of a sudden, chases Sybil out. Chases Swiper out. And that means that if he wants to right now, Mimic can just go back and he can walk this one out. He doesn't have to teleport back to lane. He can maintain all of this threat. And a very nice early game out of the top laner, who honestly had a poor showing week 1, but so far week 2 looking the goods.
And I mean, the question does become here, does he swap out that Ignite for the TP? Does he prioritize the wave pressure or the capacity to TP bot side when he gets level 6? Obviously left the fountain now with the Ignite, so he's made his choice. As Mabip's going to find Sybil in the jungle here. Oh, Sybil gets it.
Early smite out of Sybil, however, is a couple of camps, is one camp behind, so disparity in levels there. Zach does Scuttle Crab really well.
Yep.
So does actually Sejuani, but Zach does Scuttle Crab very well. So I think that Zach has been able to grab a couple there for Babip. And we see bottom lane, 6 CS advantage right now. It'll be a BF sword start versus a pickaxe dagger. That's not a great spot for Raze to be in. Doesn't swap out for anything like a cleanse or a TP in the bottom lane. So not really all that worried.
Yeah, bottom lane has been fairly stable so far. A lot of times in the Zyra Khan lanes, we do expect some sort of level 2 shenanigans, some engage to go down. But because of the Braum, you mentioned in Champ Select, does so well against the Feathers. Often as the Zyra Khan into that matchup, you do lose this one specifically. So nothing has happened too much. Raze is trying to leverage his range advantage here. Both of them farming fairly safely. I think a level 6 spike will be big.
But now this is a big point in the map pressure of the game, because no teleport on Swiper plus Ryoma getting shoved in on the rise a little bit means that Claire just continually cheating into Fog of War, and at any stage they can just call down the Sejuani, call down the Taliyah, and make it a 4v2 in quick fashion. So we'll see how that exactly plays out in this game.
Trading back and forth in the mid lane still. CS.
Look at the shove, though.
Very even.
Obnoxious.
That's the Minion Dematerializer coming in. For a champion that already has fantastic wave clear, you add on that extra damage. There's a bit of a contest going over the red buff here. Who get it? No smite available for either jungler, actually. Both level 5, but collapses are coming.
Yeah, exactly right. We see that the stun has gone out.
Can they proc it?
Sybil, little bit low here, will fall down into Bloblets quite soon. However, in goes Decoy's Feathers are there, and that's going to be the first stopwatch used. Red buff will go across the Babip, but he flashes into the wall. First blood picked up for Claire.
So much value picked up by his shield there, blocking all the feathers out of Ray, but unfortunately...
Decoy has to get healed up there.
Yeah. Does fail that flash in the end on the side of Destiny. Can't get himself over the wall, uses the stopwatch and dies anyway. Heal burnt on Raid, but... consolation prize for the Chiefs bottom lane. Yeah,
especially given the fact that their support already does not have flash. Raze doesn't have heal now, so that level 6 out of Zyra Khan going to be a little bit more potent as summoners have dissipated. Sybil, still bottom side of the map, has the ultimate available. Decoy is about to hit level 6, but they say, no, boys, let's just reset. Let's go back to base. You can see in the top lane, Swiper starting to bully out a little bit, however, is down big time in CS, and he burned a TP to get back to lane.
Yeah, that's a big deal coming out. Week 1 from Mimic was an okay performance, and I think stage nerves will be out of the way, and this will be the game we get to see him shine. Swiper, stylistically, has always struggled into players like Mimic. You see the likes of ZZZ when he was in the OPL. Hard carry players, hold that thought.
Mimic actually going for the knock-up here. Unstoppable will be achieved from Babip.
Oh,
However, double knock-up over the wall. Flick back comes there. That will be the Bloblets, and unless Swiper has TP, which he does not, Sybil actually flashes over the wall, says, give me that kill. And Claire says, mate, I'm the carry.
Claire picks up that kill. He's 2-0-0.
I like the flash, though, out of Sybil. He's like, you're not getting away from me this time.
We were talking about this 1v1. Sybil obviously wants the win here, 100%. Burns that flash. Claire doesn't have access to the ulti, but is looking at the bot side of the map right now. No level 6 out of decoy, so they will struggle to dive this, but can they get any sort of pressure down with Claire's help?
I mean, this is the thing about Talia. She just goes the Magic Tome and then all of a sudden gets boots too and just runs down to bottom lane. They potentially going to get the proc here onto the turret. That's a lot of damage. Flick across the wall onto Raze. A bunch of damage comes across onto Destiny. However, that will be only turret pressure for now. No kills.
This turret is really low after this set of plays that has been chipped so much here. You were questioning the Zyrakan and the champs, but already a Caitlyn lane losing 75% of the health on the turret is a huge deal here. That should not be happening on the side of the Chase bot lane here. That kill onto Destiny meant such a big deal.
But I think you're being a little bit unfair. I would say that this is more about the Talia than anything to do with the duo lane whatsoever. You've played against a Talia, famously Ryoma's Talia, which I think did a very similar thing to you in aggressive lanes. Able to push you out of the jungle, just gain complete bottom side control. And that meant that top lane was isolated, and you would expect Swiper to really be able to put the screws in, but you can see now up in CS, hasn't really been able to do that, to be honest.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying. Back to the point I was making before, he has struggled against hard carry players. He's a tank player mostly, for the most part. Obviously dabbles in a bit of Aurelia. Tryndamere obviously is his main bane in the top lane. Alawi, but plays off tanks and tanks more so than hard carries. And then does struggle against the kind of players like Mimic when he gets on the GP, gets on the Camille, things like that. So Mimic being on a tank does stabilize the matchup a little bit. As they're looking at Dragon on the side of Legacy right now.
And also want to hit on Raid's build. He's going to go for Essence Reaver, Zeal item, IE most likely. It's not a build we see a lot. However, the extra attack speed that come out of Decoy's W, Zaya's W, as well as the fact that Decoy is going to pick up an Ardent Sense you would expect fairly early into this game, means that build really packs a punch with Rakan.
Yeah, and I feel like it also comes online at a point when Caitlyn is weaker. Obviously, Caitlyn builds the IE Static Shiv build. Her upfront damage with an IE versus an Essence Reaver is obviously considerably higher, but it's more of a 2-item spike, and then sitting between the 2 and 3 with a cheaper build is a good position for Ray to be in. And then Caitlyn, when she hits that trough, potentially will struggle. But Bip, do they see him? They do, just briefly. Are they going to look for it? They do.
They throw the ulti. He will be flicked back. All of the CC will be there. But Bip jumps out, has no flash. See whether he goes down, hits the blast plant. That's going to be a Talia wall. He actually gets on there, Claire, and he misses all of the threaded volleys, and now he's just going to be chased down by Ryoma. Actually, TP across from Mimic. That is going to be Call of the Ram God onto Destiny. Will also get the knocker onto Ryoma, who is now being chased down. You can see Mimic tanking up this turret, uses both summoners, will mean that Mimic now in a lot of trouble. Babbitt flies back in. Good trap out of Raze means that now they're chasing. Good slow across from Swiper, however, Featherstorm will be there. Ray going to have to flash the wall. They commit. That's a lot of damage actually coming out. Decoy on the different page right now, and they're continuing to chase through. Swiper looking for the Mega Knight, gets this stun. Will get flicked back. Sybil now going back in, gets tossed into the team. Guys, I need to catch my breath. If we can stop the team fight, that'll be great. But Raze is going to fall down. Sybil now being chased. Claire flashes over the wall, looking for Ryoma. One more attack would do it. One more threaded volley, but nothing is going to happen. Sybil uses a stopwatch.
Does the Q kill him? Can he get it on the backside? No, it's not up just yet.
But Decoy's still being chased out. Will dash over the wall, and I don't know who killed who, but I think it was a 1-for-2.
Yeah, both teams seem to overextend there. Legacy get the first pick onto Destiny, but then Mimic, after burning his flash, finds himself between 2 turrets from the enemy team. He goes down. Chiefs end up chasing that one. Pick up a few extra kills, but Claire now 3-0-1. Finished his first item in the Morellos already. Still has his stopwatch. Very far ahead right now.
And this is, honestly, I mean, if you read the article, and I got roasted a little bit on Twitter for it, but if you would watch Claire's games, I honestly think Claire right now is the best performing mid laner in the OPL.
Yep.
And this game has been absolutely no different. Ryoma is no slouch. Credit to Ryoma where credit is due. He is a very, very classy player. However, Claire has done a number on him in this game so far. Got bottom lane chipped turret damage. They've been able to pick that up. They've got control over Dragon. His 3s are on 1, 100% kill participation. I cannot speak highly enough from the boy from Melbourne, of course Claire from Melbourne as well, just for those wondering. My love for that city endures through all else.
Oh, I didn't know you loved Melbourne too. That's really... I've never heard that one before.
Yeah.
The Chiefs have started up the Rift Herald. I don't know what Destiny's doing. He's going to cop a hit in the face, but they're probably...
This is good. This is a Rift Herald who's a little bit of a boxer against a wrestler.
What was he doing? He was going to reset anyway. He just really wanted a few extra autos, you know. And in the 1v1, he's like, oh yeah, got to score a few extra points, but Rift Herald eventually just backs out.
That was you've seen Shrek, surely.
Yes, of course.
That was the best scene from Shrek 1, where he just is like wrestling all the guards at the very start.
I have seen Shrek, but I have no idea what scene you're talking about right now.
When he gives him the chair. You're actually the worst movie person in the world.
Yep,
For someone that invites me to the movies a lot, you suck at movies.
Yeah, well, that's a bad luck, mate. I watch them, I enjoy them, and then I forget about them. But we have opted in to the Australia lanes right now, upside down. Bot lanes are in the top side. Swiper contesting Mimic under his turret on the bottom side of the map, but bit of a scuffle.
Mid lane engage, out onto Ryoma, will get stunned up. You can see Kidnap coming across, however, good Hourglass out of Claire. Has no ability to escape this, however, Call the Ram God coming down. Actually, he does. 3-man knock up there out of Decoy, and he'll be able to charm Ryoma as well. This fight will continue. Swiper already used everything. Looking to retreat. Mimic dashes away. Babip went down into blobs, and no bounce out of that means that this will be a 5v5 in mid lane with no one dying.
And if Raid had gotten there a little bit sooner, you have to think Legacy would have at least picked up a kill right now. 2,500 gold lead. Nice engage onto Claire, but just lands that seismic shove to keep himself out of harm's way. But unfortunately for Legacy, Raid couldn't come down in time. Raze arrived first. Destiny, nice block on the Call of the Ram God. You've got me saying Ram God. It's the Forge God. He's a Ram.
He's a Ram. I keep mucking it up, but now I just like my name for it better.
Yeah. He's calling the Ram God. He's just calling, giving his mate a call.
I'm just very, I'm close with the Forge God.
Okay.
When I call him the Ram
so you
God.
call him Ram.
Yeah, I just have nicknames for the demigods of whatever.
Where's he from? I don't know. Whatever mountain
He's Melbourne as well, I think.
Yep, as we go back to the game, Sybil might find himself behind Ryoma here.
Yeah, potentially
doesn't have the ulti.
Peg an ult, but he doesn't have it available.
Oh,
however, Talia wall, that's just going to be the get out of jail free card.
Yep, the one-time use. That's his ticket gone. Yep. Has to get off the train, goes back to his turret. Just going to look to farm out the waves again. Sybil didn't have access to his ulti there, so could not lock him down anyway. Ryoma gets out scot-free. And Swiper now, with that Black Cleaver, just seems to be pushing in Mimic time and time again, wave after wave. That's 20 CS lead he's got himself right now.
However, right now, they've also pushed Babip out of topside jungle, and they're going to be able to hit this one down. See, looking for a play on Mimic on the opposite side of the map. We've seen people try and dive on before, and it does not work very well. They get Swiper very low. He takes up the turret a little bit too much. Flash comes out of Ryoma. Mimic puts on the dancing shoes, and he's looking to pick up a kill. Ryoma will go in. Shutdown will be achieved onto the Talia. But how the heck is Mimic still alive? Now has the ultimate available. Will look to try and pick up the rise. Does not get the kill. And now the dive continues. You can see right now that it is Sybil beelining across the map. Mimic does not want to give up the turret. Misses a boomerang, as you said, and in comes Sybil. Finally, he's here. Take the ultimate at someone. You can do it, son. Instead, they're just going to look to kite him out. He gets ulted. He's going to die. Sybil, what a way to go.
He still has flash, though.
Raid coming in, actually, will not fall down. Now Raid has to block. Sybil flashes forward, dies for his sins. Raid is here. In goes Decoy, looking for Destiny. Teleport back. Actually gets Raid on the back end of
Mimic's full HP.
Really? He's teleported back in. What is going on? Everyone is so low. Babip falls down. You can see Mimic full HP. Looking to clean up what he started. Falls onto a trap. Double kill picked up for Raze. And that will be Mimic also picking up a kill for his trouble.
And that's a 4-for-3 fight in the end. It just never ended. There was also a battle over the dragon. It was taken whilst Mimic was getting dived.
Oh, and Chief's got that
by
one.
Swiper and Ryoma. So yeah, something happened. We'll have to get a replay. The dragon was contested. We see this one again. This is the back of the fight. Sybil, unfortunately, in there by himself, couldn't get onto Ryoma, so in the end has to ulti and try get himself out of the way. And this is the funny bit, the headshot. Ray doesn't realize, so Sybil has to flash in front of his AD carry.
Well, he did it because he was going to die.
But then he dives to the Rise AoE anyway. And Mimic, after playing that dive, as well as he could have, you have to expect, TP's back in. And it's just a bunch of traded kills. One in favor for Legacy in the end of that, with Mimic picking up that kill onto Raze. But Jesus, that was something.
That was something else. And you also have to say, hats off to Mimic, because he's playing this game pretty damn well at the moment. That was an outplay, CS, but like, that was...
he's on, so he didn't get a kill.
That was about 3 outplays.
But that was a significant outplay onto the dive that should have been fairly easy to execute by the Chiefs there. They have the CC from Ryoma, and he flashes at the perfect time to block the damage using his shields correctly to keep himself alive. Barely leaves with a dodge on the boomerang, and once again just finds himself under that same turret against Swiper.
When the Chiefs are down about 3,000 gold, you'd have to see a vast majority of that coming from first turret, as well as the second turret that they were able to pick up. Now, trying to get into this mid lane, going to be quite difficult.
It's a big lead in the bot lane for the Zyra. About 40 CS up right now. 1.1k in his advantage. Has 2 kills to the 3 of Raze, but is still up 1,000 gold there.
Yep, he's got the 2. He got solo turret gold in the bottom lane, as well as some turret gold in the top lane as well. I believe Decoy stuck around for that one. Big fan when support stick around for gold, by the way.
Yep.
I'm never
lives
giving
too, thank you very much.
I'm never giving my 80 carry soul turret.
I mean, if you do things in lane, then you deserve it. That's my rule. You know what I mean? Like, if the 80 carry just hard carry you, you're like, oh, okay, man, like, you can have this. You've played well. But if you hook people, if you set up the CC, if you get the kills, then you take that gold. That's yours. You earned it. 100%. As the bot lanes are just going to meet each other in the mid lane so far. And you have to think in the 2v2, the Zyra can't just have so much pressure. Decoy has got that spell book, but still is sitting on the Ignite. Later into the game, we expect him to go into the Cleanse or the Exhaust to just guarantee his ability to engage.
Potentially Ghost.
Well, sorry, did I say the...
You said Cleanse or Exhaust.
Oh, Cleanse or Exhaust. No, Cleanse or the Ghost, absolutely. Yep. He already has the capacity to gap close about a screen's worth of distance there with that flash, with the E and the W.
Yep. But what the Ghost gives you is once you come out of your W animation, you can kind of ghost around and pick up the people you didn't get with the R the first time. And he has a good running animation, which I cannot stress enough. When you are going quick with a good running animation, you feel good. And League of Legends is a game that you play to feel good.
Yep, absolutely. It's also kind of a budget Spell Thieves quest. Now that all the Sight Stones have been removed and you don't get that Spell Thief quest where you get the move speed upon applying damage, what used to happen is you would engage, that would proc, and you'd zoom away out of a team fight with a Colossus Shield. But now you don't have either of those things. So having that Ghost as well means you can engage and get out scot-free more often than not, which is what Rakan does struggle with at the moment.
I wonder where scot-free came from. I wonder why it's not like get out Peter-free.
I don't know.
Get out Sam-free.
Yeah, let's find out. Who's Scott?
Tweet at Ejim. Yeah,
he must have been a real good guy.
You have to use a capital G when you type Ejim, otherwise he'll flame you.
Yeah, don't do that. I won't reply if you hit me with a little G. I mean, I will, but I'll reply angrily. That's how it's done. Swiper could have had an opportunity on this bot turret, but respects the fact that Legacy have 4 members on the bottom side of the map. And this game has stabilized for a little bit. There's an Infernal Drake traded with that Earth over on these respective teams. Legacy are just trying to find a footing, trying to find an angle to break open this mid turret right now. They're just floating around as a ball, getting control on either side. They got some vision control for Mimic so that he can happily sit under his turret against Swiper. And now they're rotating up to the top side. Claire's going to very easily and quickly shove that one out as Sybil clears the Baron pit. So they're just looking for angles right now. This is where the bot lane has to play Vero respectively for this exact reason. But Bip channeling that elastic slingshot. Destiny sitting on the bottom side, collapsing.
But you can see right now that they've called Ornn up. Chiefs have not been able to access the mid lane wave. Talia Wall can come out behind them right now, so they need to play so far back. There it is, and this is going to be mid lane turret picked up for absolutely nothing.
Yep, just one ulti cooldown from Claire, and that's the easiest turret kill of Legacy's life. They will trade it, but you have to think the mid lane outer is so much more worthwhile than this one.
Yeah, and also if you Swiper, you start sweating about now because they have very long distance engage, and you can see that it's not just going to be Mimic coming down here. He's going to bring a friend. And Swiper now has to be scared for his life. See whether the charge gets a knock-up, does not, misses the wall. See whether they use any of the ultimate. That will be the first ultimate out there. See if they can hit the plant. Swiper just hops over the wall. In goes the engaged mid lane. Decoy has to burn that ultimate to get out. The call of the Forge God will hit Swiper, but there's no way they're going to kill him.
Yep. Already in that 2v1, they would have struggled. Once he pops Mega, Swiper would have been very tanky, but they had a lot of time to get on him. They would have eventually taken him down, but nice set of fancy feet for Swiper to get himself over the wall. Gets himself out of harm's way, but the big thing, Ardent Sensor has been picked up onto Decoy. We saw Raid having to use his ultimate just there to get himself out of harm's way, but Bip looking for that engage. But as these team fights go further and further, you have to think right now, sitting on 2 items, Raid has a BF sword over Raze on the other side of the map, and with that Ardent Sensor is going to be doing significantly more damage. Not to mention the feathers. You can hit a front line and also have threat on the back line, whereas Caitlyn, she's just hitting one person. Yeah,
and feathers are kind of, I mean, I'm going to say this, and people are going to be like, you're an idiot, but they're actually hard to keep track of in team fights.
Yeah.
Because they just fly out absolutely everywhere, and there's way more chaotic things to worry about than feathers. However, it looks like Ray's going to be able to get his team a dragon. Also, they do a lot of damage on neutrals, because if you just rip them all out at the same time, it's not the same as a Ren, but you saw that was about, what, 600-ish damage?
Yeah. I back that. You can pseudo smite a dragon away there. As we saw, Chiefs opt in for about a hard reset, or as hard as you can get here. Swiper still on the bot side, does have that TP available, sitting on 2 items right now, but so does Mimic. Actually opts in for a more aggressive build, has that Abyssal Mask instead of something like the Adaptive Helm.
Well, it's like quasi-aggressive, right? Because he's gone with Frozen Heart as opposed to Iceborne Gauntlet.
Yep, true.
Which means that his second item is more aggressive. I like the Frozen Heart because Caitlyn is going to be relied upon for a lot of the damages in this comp, and anything to just take away some of Caitlyn's scaling. She already struggles with attack speed at the best of times, even with 2-0 items. Is just going to be good.
I mean, not to mention, if you're sitting in a side lane just trying to stave off Swiper as much as possible, then if you're not going to be aggressive, then it's just straight up better than the Gauntlet, because it gives you a bit more resist and also has that attack speed slow you mentioned, so Swiper will be hitting him less.
Yep.
But this game stabilized. The gold lead within touching distance right now, 2,000. Neither team has really made a play for the Baron, and the next big fight that looks like it's brewing in the mid lane right now. Sibble looking for Destiny.
Swiper is also making his way across. Mimic is nowhere to be seen, so we'll see whether they're able to get anything. He is not in Mega, however. And I think that this is just going to be a hard reset. I think that they're waiting for the Void Staff on Claire. They're waiting for the Infinity Edge on Raid. At the same time, the Chiefs are just saying, we're not in any rush. We've got Caitlyn, one of the best late game insurance policies available. I still don't think out DPS's Raid in this game just because of the fact that he's got an Ardent Sensor user. But still, it's not going to be all bad for Raze.
And I think both teams are playing this macro game fairly well, to be honest. Legacy obviously have the advantage. They also have double Earth Drake, so the Baron threat is very real. And Swiper gets Chiefs the pushing advantage on the bot side just because of that matchup. 2 items into the Ornn, pushing him in, and then Chiefs use that to bundle up. They put 3 or 4 members and they go into the top side of the river. They try and get that vision around Baron, and it's just cyclical. So Swiper pulls up, he loses that advantage. Chiefs get the vision,
got a bit of a pincer coming out here. Destiny, for some reason, is being caught in the middle of river. Will get walled off as well, and in goes Decoy. He just misses Raze, but you can see the fight is on. Destiny falling very low. Also, the blobs coming out. Mimic now on the back line. Very nice ultimate, but somehow all the Chiefs members are still alive. Decoy now getting chunked out. Raze dealing with the tanks nicely. You can see that they're just peeling, and Swiper on the back line being a nuisance will actually be able to take Raid very low in a 1v2 situation. Jumps on his head. Raid picks up that kill, but the double kill already comes out for the Chiefs AD carry. Raze so low. Ryoma looking to chase out onto Claire, and that is a 3 for 4 in favor of the Chiefs Esports Club.
And Legacy get the initial pick, they get the good engage, but the tanks and the carries split up. Raid and Claire are still sitting in the river, and the rest of Legacy are diving forwards. They get shredded by the lineup of Chiefs. But Bip is just running interference right now, and you see this. The initial engage, Destiny gets stunned up here and goes down so incredibly low, but just doesn't die. But we want to look at the positioning of the carries from Legacy right now. They can't make it through this choke, or at least they don't want to right now. Mimic, Sibble and Decoy go in, but Ray doesn't want to commit over this. But Bip is still on the back line, but the front line just gets shredded by Raze and Ryoma over here on the left-hand side. So it's basically a backline versus front line 2v2 on either sides, and Chiefs come up winning.
Yeah, exactly right. And the big thing for that fight was the fact how long it takes to kill Zach. He had a stopwatch. He had his bloblets available. He was just untargetable when he's in that silly, silly puddle. And you could just see that they're sitting there saying, we can't chase through because if we do, we're going to leave a tank behind us. And then Babip is just like, how many untargetable buttons do I have?
Oh, I've run out of buttons. I guess it's my time to go. But does live for a very long time there. Oh, fairly even. Oh, Decoy goes over.
Shoots it. Looking for him. Well, Decoy will just be able to dash out stylishly.
He has opted in for the Ghost now. Did use that spellbook to switch it up. Going to have both the mobility summoners here. So looking for those engages. And Legacy have such a big wombo. They have that engage out of the Rakan. Combo with the Ornn and the Sejuani. Obviously, Destiny has been doing a good job so far. I think he's blocked every Ornn ulti that he's been on screen for. So 100% hit rate so far. And in that engage, just in the river around Baron right there, milliseconds before dying, he actually blocks the Call of the Forge God there. So
I actually can't believe how Ray's got through that choke point as well, as we're seeing another engage, just burning the shield from Destiny.
Can they proc it? They can.
See whether they go for the fight here. Sybil in big trouble, will not get the ultimate out at all, and will just fall down.
And the slightest extension out of Sybil costs him his life there. Brawl passive means they get this CC, but Bib flies over top. And that's going to be advantage Chiefs so far. And this is the smallest gold lead we've seen in a while. It was sitting around 2-3K for the most part.
It's not going to be a gold lead. Swiper's just going to go down bottom. He's going to pick up about 600 gold worth of creeps right now. And look at that. That's like, not if you don't hit him, Swiper. He's missed every serious whole watch.
No, there's another one. No. Come on. Oh, he got that one. There we go. Use his Q.
2.
There we go, 2. Going to get the cannon. That's the important one. Oh, DOS! Come on! Swiper!
Swiper.
What are you doing?
He got most of them.
He did. He does have a gold lead, about 1.3k over Mimic, but that is what you would expect right now. And yeah, fairly even. We mentioned the gold lead, 600 right now. Legacy getting some control over the Baron, and this has just been the name of the game.
Chiefs have sent all their members off the map at the exact same time, and Legacy say, hey, with that in mind, let's just do the Baron real quickly, and we'll see whether they can get it, because in dashes Sejuani over the wall. That's going to be the wall out from Claire, so Destiny it will just be Destiny, and
decisive call.
But hard reset from the Chiefs.
Questionable decision there, and it does cost them the Baron. Double Mountain plus double Ardent Sensor proc, because Rakan can shield 2 allies, means that died almost immediately. Gold lead, negligible, but that's going to be the Baron buff onto Legacy right now. See what they can do with it. All the inner ring of turrets are still available. The outers obviously are broken. So they're going to get a Dragon for their troubles on the side of Chiefs, but...
Yeah, but one more time, I think this is a strange Dragon call, because, I mean, they didn't do it, but Legacy could have just used that tempo to shove up mid lane as hard as they possibly could want. It looks like they actually want to fight, because they're walking into the jungle, pinging out members, whilst there is still Ryoma in the top lane.
Yeah, he's in the top lane, and he has got the cleanse at the moment, so that's the reason. Legacy C, he does not have TP available. He's swapped out of that one, so can't get to the fight. It would be a 4v5
he still
if they
hasn't
could get an engage off. He's going to show in about 2 seconds. There we go. Legacy no now.
And now Swiper is in deep trouble of being engaged upon. For some reason, they don't go for it, because they've caught Claire in the mid lane. That is going to be the ultimate across. But there comes the Call of the Forge God. Knocks up Raze, who has to flash away. Decoy wants him, grabs him on the back end. However, he is just a little bit too tanky. Shutdown comes across for Mimic. And now the Chiefs just have to head for the hills. That will be another kill picked up. And Ryoma is just in no man's land right now. He's not hitting turrets, and he's definitely not with his team.
Chief thought they picked Legacy Claire there, but they just can't get the kill. Ryoma, as you say, could not make it to the fight, and they lose 2 members.
And they're going to continue. Exactly right. They're tanking up for that turret. So that will be Sybil taking it down. Inhibitor number 1, and still 20 seconds on the Chiefs' bottom lane. Legacy play the disciplined style. They back away. But the base is broken, and Legacy now 4,000 gold in the lead.
Potentially even just get another inner turret for their troubles as well. 5 members here. This one's going to go down. Decoy just hitting the wave, but Bib is hanging around, but he's not going to be able to do anything. And greedy play out of Chiefs. They thought they'd found a pick. And they were like, hey, we have a numbers disadvantage, but it doesn't matter if we get to kill Claire instantly. Unfortunately for them, Flash still available, gets himself out of harm's way, and all they did was bait themselves into a bad engage.
And Raid's build right now, he's got himself an upgraded Merc Scimitar, and he's saying, hey, I don't think there's enough armor here to warrant me going for an armor penetration item. Let's go another Zeal. Let's get the 100% crit.
Yeah. No fear right now. Has the extra
Molten Edge afterwards. Let's just be an absolute menace.
You know, that's the only Ornn item that I know.
Yeah.
Is Molten Edge. Is that the same for you?
Yeah, exactly the same. I like to say it over and over again.
Yeah, sound like you know them all, but unfortunately I've called you out. Legacy, with this gold lead now, 4,000, looking to pressure on the top side of the map. The base is broken on the side of Chiefs, so they're probably going to give up this inner, and they're just trying to get some semblance of control on the other side of the map. Ryoma pushing out the mid lane, Swiper pushing out the bot. But no, they all recall. But Bip is over the wall. He is on vision though, but potentially looking for an engage. It's really hard for Bip, right? His engage is just aiming into the back line, but Raid 100% should not be hit by that. All he needs to do is hit his ulti, but Bip's going to take a bunch of damage, and he's not going to be able to CC him. Claire's really the only vulnerable target.
Completely agree, and I think that right now, Legacy, just say, we've won the race. Right, we're 4,000 gold up, nearly 5,000 gold up. We're going to be able to continually shove in minion waves. Let's just wait for our big items to come out. Let's wait for Claire to have his death cap, because he's going to have it first. And if they engage onto us in the meantime, we'll win the fight. But we don't have to dive under turrets or do anything crazy. We still win this scaling battle.
Not to mention, something that not a lot of people think about with the double mountain. The meta right now is very hard to actually siege onto an inhibitor. There's a lot of wave clear. Caitlyn in this game specifically is going to set up a trap line. But because of that double mountain, every cheeky auto that Ray can weave into a turret just means so much more. It's going to do that extra damage, and over the course of a couple of minutes of sieging a turret very slowly, those autos do stack up. So that's a big deal there coming through for Legacy.
Swiper actually going towards Oranguin's Omen now might mean that Raid has to change his plan on that last item. I think that if you got Zach as well as Swiper sitting on Randuin's, he's not changing his mind. He's got a zeal. So
he had the dagger, mate. He's committed. 100% committed. Does have a 50 CS lead, as we saw. Bunch of gold up. The Chiefs actually have the map control right now. Claire's in the bot lane with no TP. He does have that ultimate available, though, but he is going to reset. Potentially just pick up his next item here.
What a great game out of Legacy. I think we have to mention again, last week, they got 2-0'd by AV. I don't think an outcome anyone expected, but this game, Mimic has come in, not on a carry, has looked dangerous.
Popping. Yeah.
Raid is looking very good against an old foe in Raze. And Decoy against Destiny has stood up incredibly well. This Legacy lineup, not the members that you would be expecting to shout out. Sure, you know, people like Claire, Sybil, they're playing their part, but I think that the map really has come down to how Raid, Decoy, and Mimic have been able to play.
Yeah, and I think one thing I want to know, does this iteration of Legacy stylistically... Oh, actually, hold that thought, but Bip's going.
Yeah, exactly right. Goes in, however, that is a Feather Storm. You see, he takes so much damage. Decoy. In goes Decoy onto the back line. Call of the Forge God means that Ryoma has to get the heck out of dodge, and Swiper has to flash over the wall. So much burnt from Chiefs, and they're the one that started that fight. They want to continue it as well. Swiper going very low. Will just dodge out of that flick. You can see Mimic does still take some good damage.
Does land. Can raise Procket. He can. Maybe not, just can't quite close the gap there. The threat of Decoy re-engaging that fight. Raid within auto distance means he can't actually commit onto the Mimic there, onto Ornn.
Yeah, but maybe that would get them access to the Dragon. You can see, past 35 minutes, there's going to be an Elder coming up there. Good chunk damage onto a lot of the members, but double Warmogs. Yeah, all right, cool. That doesn't mean anything. As we see now, Babip will be engaged on, as will Destiny, and they just want this fight. Flick will come out onto Destiny. He has the door up, but a huge four-man knock-up means that this fight looks like it's going to be Legacy. Somehow, though, it's actually Sybil that got picked. Flick again. Call of the Forge God comes out. Will only hit the door. And Raze is just continually chipping out damage.
Raze is playing so well around this choke. Legacy don't want to commit because they know he can just trap that small portion off and they will get taken down. Raze playing on the edge of death right now.
Decoy, no summoner spells available, however, has the ultimate, so Raze backs away. And even though they lose the fight, they lose their dragon, jungler, they start up the dragon, and this one's gone.
Yep, double mountain. Means they're going to do this one very quickly and pick up that Elder buff. Baron also just spawned. Legacy, a lot of pings going out onto it. Chiefs do have positioning right now, but Sybil did just spawn. That's the wall coming out just for vision, just checking if Chiefs are on it, but no, they're not. Ray's just going to collect himself a Scuttle Crab. Babip looking for a recall, but ooh, misses.
So the key thing is that Babip doesn't have Warmogs.
Yep.
So he doesn't have that regen that we've seen out of Sybil, that we've seen out of Mimic. And because they saw him so low, they stopped the back. They're just going to go for it. That's actually like 4 Mountain Drakes. And yeah, goodbye, Baron.
That is a 4-second Baron overall. That's obscenely quick coming out of Legacy. And whilst we have this lull, I want to know what I was saying. Does this iteration of Legacy stylistically match up against the Chiefs? Because you have not a heavy lane pressure bot lane in Raze and Destiny. Swiper not really known to be a lane bully. And Legacy have always played this fairly slow style. And that's what we've seen here. Chiefs in the early game didn't apply a whole lot of pressure, and that's where Legacy strive.
Well, it's just so surprising, right? Because if you said that at the start of the year, I'd be like, no, because what's going to happen is Babip is just going to invade Sybil because that's the style of jungler he is, and Ryoma in the isolated 1v1 will beat Claire because that is what we saw last year. However, it is the fact that this Legacy roster has changed, that Claire is now a huge early game threat, and that Sybil, honestly, I mean, he hasn't looked amazing, but Babip has by no means bullied him around this game. It's a tank versus tank matchup. So I think that, you know, right now, Legacy just look pretty calm, whereas the Chiefs look like they're the ones forcing the plays.
Yeah, 100% Babip, time and time again. He is the only engaged, so he kind of has to. He's the one that has to be looking for this. The wall's going to come out, try and zone them off. They're looking for this inhib. Going to step on all the traps with Caitlyn being out of range, so that's a big deal there. They do get through the choke point.
However, not yet able. Oh, that was just one pebble. Ray's at half health, and you can see the fire is just ticking down. And he says, you know what, guys, let's just give that one up. I'm going to head back to the fountain. I needed to shop anyway.
And their bot lane is looking real rough for the side of Legacy, but they don't care.
They go in there on to Ryoma. He gets flicked back. He gets blown up.
Why was he
that
there?
is a statement. Just instant. Double ultimates burnt. They say, let's try and win this game. They're going to push in, stepping on more traps. This will be 2 waves of super creeps coming into the base. Baron up. Elder Dragon still available for a little bit longer. And Legacy want to close out game 1.
And all they have is the Ornn ulti for engage. Is it enough here? Raid pops the QSS, but Babip gets cancelled.
Yeah, certainly does. Takes a tank into the back line in decoy, but he will fall down. That means right now it's a 4v4. Claire on the back line as well. Gets chunked out by Destiny as well as Raze, but they're in the fountain. And the Nexus turrets are going down. Meganar onto the back line. That is huge out of Swiper. And you can see Raid just trying to kite back with Claire. So much damage coming out, but I just don't think they can contest this Xayah right now. Raid is going to end by himself. And Legacy right now are on the Nexus, but they can't finish it. Sybil will also fall right now.
The minions! Raze gets the luckiest crit in the world onto Raid. Half healths him with one auto, and that means Legacy can't end the game. They overcommit to behind the Nexus. Claire doesn't actually fall down, but it was so close. The Nexus on about 300 HP here. And Legacy, they didn't have the cooldowns to go for that dive. They tried it anyway. They had no Talia, no Rakana, no Sejuani there. Chiefs barely hold on. That's about a 5,000 gold lead for Legacy. 2 inhibs down. This is going to be an uphill battle for the Chiefs.
Yeah.
You know what it is? It has been.
They're climbing those in thongs and shorts.
That hurts.
They're going to lose a toe. Even if they win this game, they will not come out of this unscathed in some way. As you can see, Talia now is going to go back, pick up a 6 item. It's going to be a Rylai's Crystal Scepter. At the same time, that is 100% crit, 6 item Xayah.
Yep.
Looking around at the Chiefs, Raze is now 6 item. He's an absolutely giant Caitlyn. We saw what he can do, 1 auto attack. Certainly hurts Raid at this stage of the game. It's going to be 5 3/4 items right now for Ryoma.
And also, you do have to actually commend Chiefs on that hold. There was a big engage out of Swiper on the Meganar, followed up by the damage from Raze. He was in the fountain healing from about 10%. Barely got back to that fight just in time to deal enough so that Legacy couldn't end on that push. But Chiefs...
Babip might have been caught out. He went the wrong way. Babip, what are you doing in that part of the jungle? Falls down. That is going to be the Talia wall. However, Raid looking to pick up Claire. He does. Into the back line goes decoy.
Can they kill Raze?
In goes forward goes Raid. He will be able to pick up his other 80 carry counterpart. And Swiper looking for the Meganar will be able to pick it up. But unfortunately, that is too little too late. Ryoma comes out and says, guys, I just want to die with you as well. We're a team, and then he says, you know what, at the end of the day, it's all about the KDA.
Oh, he didn't make it over.
Doesn't get over the wall. Trying to take Sybil in a 1v1. We'll be able to do it. Sybil actually has to put his tail between his legs and run away. Bristle wants nothing to do, and he says, guys, really quickly end the game, because I got someplace to be, and that will be Legacy taking game 1.
Yeah, and you saw Claire in his player cams there, clapping away. Legacy feeling good about that win. Just a solid overall performance from multiple members on Legacy last week.
Honestly, everyone had a good game.
100% last week. Criticizing everyone but Claire, saying that he was the only one that really truly stepped up in that matchup. And then the whole team on fire in this game 1 versus the Chiefs, and that's a 1-0 to Legacy.
And really, members of the Chiefs didn't play poorly.
No.
They were just playing like okay, and then members of Legacy were elevating the level of gameplay in that. Even Swiper, I mean, kind of had an okay-ish early to mid-game, and then late game in team fights was still looking like the Armored Titan, was still getting some good engages out for his team.
He never gives up.
Yeah. But Raze, honestly, had a pretty stellar game in the end.
Yep, he chucked a clear.
He is a very good team fighting AD carry. He is actually probably the best team fighting AD carry we have, but unfortunately, the rest of the team was just crumbling him around.
And it's just not enough. When there's so many engage tools, you have this Sejuani, you have to dodge a Rakan combo, and if you get hit by it, you've still got to burn the flash and the QSS to get out. Legacy just had so many engage tools that Raze had such a hard time navigating those team fights. He did do it well. We saw at the Nexus barely hold that game right then. Obviously, Legacy pick up the win a few moments later, but also, we saw in that last team fight just in the Raptor pit, barely scrapes by. But unfortunately, it does go down, and that did spell the victory for Legacy.
Yeah, and one more time, it was Claire leading in the early game, captain of Legacy, like just ensuring they get to that point where they're able to start the team fights, and Legacy are able to pick up game number 1. However, let's throw it over to Laura and Choose to break down that game a little bit further.
Thank you very much, guys. Yes, Legacy able to pick up game number 1. I want to start off, though, by talking about the draft, because when I spoke to Fantix, he said that they weren't really worried about Mimic, but they threw 4 bans towards him. Does that mean that they're not worried, or what's the go here?
Yeah, generally, if you throw, your entire pick ban at one player, you should be worried about him. But I think he was more leaning towards that. We've got a good matchup in our top lane. He's not as big a threat, but I think that opened up. I think Legacy did a good job to prove in their other roles that they, if you throw bans at our top laner, we're still good as well. You should be respecting us as well. And that Talia pick and that Xayah pick, they played very well.
Yes, Bryce and Jake have been saying that, Claire is finally able to start playing these carry champions, and he pulled out the Talia and played really well into Rise.
Yeah, I think this game was a really good example of top-tier Oceanic teams showcasing specifically mid-lane priority. As you can see in this first replay, which is First Blood, is Talia pushes mid in, is able to roam, as well as bot lane. So Legacy's entire team, apart from top laners, are able to rotate very quickly to this Sybil invade, and are able to pick up First Blood. An unfortunate flash there, but I will commend Claire for his Talia walls this game. I think every single wall that he threw out this game secured an objective or a kill. Including numerous barons and inhibitors. So I think this Talia pick that Fantix mentions that he shouldn't be worried about was very well played by Brandon, by Claire, and that's something they should take note of.
In saying that, there was a particular fight around Baron that Legacy looked like they should have had control of, but they mis-executed it, and the Chiefs ended up getting 4 kills.
Yeah, this is kind of where the game got a little spicy. We see Rakan get an engage in, but obviously this Legacy with a proactive play, they engage on the Braum, get a good chunk. But just right now, you can see the 2 carries, Xayah and Talia, are running down, while the 2 carries of Chiefs are in the top side being CC'd by the tank, by the jungler and support. So this was definitely a case of miscommunication. Chiefs ends up coming away with a victory in this team fight, but it just makes you question that if Legacy can clean their team fighting up, if they can follow their calls with whoever they're targeting, then maybe this game would have been a bit more convincing, because that was at a 3k deficit for Chiefs.
Yeah.
But it definitely showcased, especially Braum, Destiny on Braum, was able to shut down the Ornn ultimates, and I think it just showed that both of these teams are really pushing each other to their limits.
Well, we'll have to see if the Chiefs are able to bring it back next game. But we asked those of you at home to send in your questions for Choo Choos to answer, and we've picked a handful for him to answer right now. The first one coming from Bear, who says, if you could combine 2 champions together where they could have 50-50 of the abilities, which 2 champions would you pick that would be too OP?
Oh my god, okay. Well, this question would take a while for me to answer, but I would say Kassadin, and Kassadin's ultimate and all that is jumping around, and Ezreal.
Is that kind of Zoe in a way?
Yeah, I guess I'm just suggesting Zoe. Okay, you got me.
Second question comes from Michael, who asks,
"What is Zoe?" That I think about that. Okay, sorry. Let's go to the next question.
Michael, who says, "What do you think of Rise not being able to stop Watch Zhonya's and ult away, and how do you think it will affect pro play next patch?"
I can't wait. We've seen a lot of Rise play in both series today, and I think everyone's kind of fed up with that. So, I mean, in the new patch, they got rid of it. So, in pro play, I definitely think it will lower Rise's pick, because it means he's open up to ganks a bit easier.
Our third question comes from James, who says, any champions you want to see in the meta and what needs to happen to get them there?
I'm a big fan of Assassins. Assassins kind of aren't in the meta at the moment, like Zed, Akali, Kassadin even, but these champions don't really have a spot with all the control mages being super strong and scaling. But I would like to see the return of like Duskblades and lethality. So that's my take.
If there was one assassin you could bring back right now, what would it be?
Probably Akali.
Akali?
Akali was the first champion I ever played in League of Legends.
There you go.
Yeah.
Our fourth question comes from Ronald, who says, how did your time on Bombers compare to when you were on Legacy?
That's a good question because they both are owned by football clubs. So I got to see both sides, like 2 football clubs. And it's really, I had great experiences with both of them. It was really cool to see how these investments have provided such good opportunities for both teams. So I would say like I had great times with Bombers and Legacy. So I'm kind of fans for both of them, I suppose.
Our final question comes from Mateusz. I'm so sorry if I pronounced that wrong. Who asks, which team excites you the most this split in the OPL? Greetings from Poland.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
It is.
The team that excites me the most would be, I'd say Tectonic.
Yeah.
Tectonic have like historically always struggled. Like they'll have a good game every now and again, and then you'd be like, okay, they have a 6K gold lead, but they're probably gonna lose. And I hate the fact that like everyone's like feels that way. Maybe they don't. Maybe just me. but I definitely think that like this year they are with Coach Cyclone, they can prove everyone wrong. The AV series earlier today showed great promise. I would have to pick them as the underdogs.
I would too. They're really fun to watch.
Yeah.
But thank you everyone for sending those questions in. We're going to head to a short break, but when we get back, we're going to have game 2 between the Chiefs and Legacy. Don't miss it.
Decoy looking for Destiny, teleport back. Actually gets Raid on the back end of
Mimic's full HP!
Really? He's teleported back in. What is going on? Everyone is so low. Babbitt falls down. You can see Mimic full HP looking to clean up what he started. Destiny falling very low. Also the blobs coming out. Mimic now on the back line. Very nice ultimate, but somehow all the Chiefs members are still alive. Decoy now getting chunked out. Raze dealing with the tanks nicely. You can see that they're just peeling, and Swiper on the back line being a nuisance will actually be able to take Raid very low in a 1v2 situation. Jumps on his head. Decoy wants him, grabs him on the back end. However, he is just a little bit too tanky. Shutdown comes across for Mimic, and now the Chiefs just have to head for the hills. That will be another kill picked up. Raze looking to pick up Claire. He does. Into the back line goes Decoy. In goes forward, goes Raid. He will be able to pick up his other 80 carry counterpart. And Swiper looking for the Mega Null will be able to pick it up. But unfortunately, that is too little too late. Ryoma comes out and says, guys, I just want to die with you as well. Bristle wants nothing to do. And he says, guys, really quickly end the game because I got someplace to be. And that will be Legacy taking game 1.